Hello everyone, today I want to show you if and switch statements and how and when to use them properly. There are many situations in the programming when we need to execute one or another operation depending on special conditions to achieve desired behavior. And there is actually a situation when the if or switch statements comes in. So let's move to practice and I'll show you the usage of if-else statement on the example of random number from 0 to 1. Depending on our variable will contain 0 or 1, we want to print some different statements. So first of all, I want to declare the int variable and assign it with random value. And you actually don't need to understand what's going on here because currently it's out of your knowledge, but just know that this part of code generates the value number between 0 and 2, not including the 2 itself, so it can be 0 or 1. And in this point of the program we don't know what exactly our random is. So if we going to print, this can be 0 or 1. If we going to print it again, it can have the different value as our programs stopped and run again. So have to actually evaluate this variable and depending on this print some statements. So we are using the keyword if, then we open in parentheses and we will write here random equals 0 and the curly braces. Between the curly braces we are going to print our number is 0. And actually we can just try to run it right now. And as you can see, nothing was printed, so probably our random contain in this situation 1, and we can run it again. And here we go, you can see that our statement from the if block was printed. And how we can actually handle the case when the random will have the 1 value. We will write else and again curly braces and print our number is 1. And let's run it again. And you can see that at this run our number or our random integer has a value of 1, and if we run it again, now it was 0. And this construction actually called if-else statement. And this tool is very useful because in the programming too much times we don't exactly know what value contains some of variables, and we can evaluate it and depending on the value provide some other operations. Let's analyze step by step how does it work and what's going on here. At the first line we create in the int variable and assign it with the random value from 0 to 1. So let's imagine we have here 0. Then computer goes down step by step and moves to our if statement, checks the condition, see that our random equals 0, so 0 equals 0, it's true. So it executes what logic we wrote between the curly braces. And after the last line of our if block, it just continues here, so the else block is not executed. Opposite situation if we have the value 1, number 1, so it skips, it see that random 1 and it's not equal to 0, so the logic of the if block is skipped and it moves straight to else. Then executed the else and goes to the next lines. And let's just pretty much extend our logic to make it a little bit more interesting. So let's make, for example, our bounds 4. And now we actually extended the possibility to our random variable to have also the value of 2 or 3. And how we can handle the cases for the 2, for 1, for 2, and for 3 value. To do this, we are using another block, else if, and this way we are letting our computer know that we have another one specific condition we want to evaluate after the first main condition. So we checking if our random is 0. If it's not, we move into else if, and in the else if, let's check if our random equals 1. Let me just copy this statement and let's make it print, for example, our number is other in the case our random is not 0 and not 1. And let's print it. And from the first try you can see that our number probably was 2 or 3 and the else statement was executed. And if we add here actually another one, else if and print it, and here you can see that the first if block was hit. If we print it again, here was the second else if, or the first else if block was executed. So in this way we can handle as much as we want cases. For example, we can create the bounds to 100 and handle 100 cases for every value of our variable. So the computer will execute only one of those blocks depending on the value of our random. So if our random will be 0, it will execute on the if. It will has the value of 1, it will execute the first else if, or it will execute the second else if, or else, or whatever other conditions we have, but it executes only one block from the whole statement. And let's look at another way of writing the same operation with the switch statement. So switch statement has a little bit different syntax, and it starts with the switch keyword, then parenthesis, and between the parentheses we are putting the condition or value we want to evaluate. So random, then it also has the curly braces, and here we are using the case keyword and then expected value. So let's just write 0, then the colon, and again we open and close in the curly braces. And here let me just copy this, the case 1, case 2, and instead of the last condition which evaluates whatever else what is not in the bounds of the first conditions, we using keyword default in the switch statement. And here let me just delete it. 1, 2, 3. No, not 3, but other. Yeah. And what actually else important when we want to use switch statement? When we are going to use the switch with this syntax, when we open in the curly braces after the colon, we have to write the keyword return. So the last line of the every case block must has return, because without return it will execute other cases, and to prevent this we are returning out from return, or actually break. So we telling with the break keyword, we telling the computer that our case is found and we want to finish evaluating. If we're not going to use the break, as I said, it will continue with other cases. So let me just show you how does it work. I'm just commenting this, and let's make now our random, for example, 0, and let's run it. And as you can see that our number is 0 was found, but because we don't have the break, the case 1, case 2 and the default was executed. So to prevent this, we're using the break, and let me show you it with the break. And here we go, only the first case was executed. And when it's better to use the switch statement instead of if else? Well, we have to use switch if we have a lot of cases to evaluate. And what about if it's better for the long conditions? For example, random equals 0 and name not equals John, and so on and so forth. But if we have a lot of cases, it's better to use actually switch. So I hope you like this video, and don't forget to click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and see you at the next lesson.